So I thought I would make a little video about the year 2022 at a glance. So brief overview of what I'm including in this little presentation is the economic and financial market occurrence that has occurred in 2022, how the case has been in Mauritius, which also talk of the FIFA World Cup in the year 2022, and lastly reach the conclusion. So in the economic section, we see that we've been hit by a most brutal rise in inflation since the last 40 years. So we have partly because of the war in Ukraine, that is the Russia-Ukrainian war, COVID-19 pandemic, which has been hit, which has caused a strong consumer demand. So this has increased the chances of an economic contraction. We have predictions of a further rise in inflation in the US up to 4.50% to 5% in May 2023. So the worst might be yet to be seen. And in Japan, we have found that Japan's inflation has also hit a 40-year high, distorting their bond market. So Japan faces weakening currency and imported cost pressures. We can see that one policy mistake can get them to a near market accident. So consequently, how central banks should lower inflation without harm. So the three techniques here that come into play is time, luck, and skill. So skill, because you need to be skilled in order to be able to come up with good strategies. You need time for your strategies for people and institutions to react to your strategies appropriately. And in everything you do, you need a little luck factor. So central banks are focusing on inflation hawk, decreasing interest rates to focus on potential recessionary pressure brought to bear by high inflation rates. And now if we take the case in Mauritius, we have also seen inflation in Mauritius here, whereby the key repo rate is increasing from 3% to 4% to keep inflation low and to maintain prices. This will have a negative impact on job creation and debt servicing for companies. When you talk of debt servicing for companies have to come up with deleveraging strategies. This includes selling shares to increase share capital and reduce their debt to capital ratio. There are regression concerns for 2023, which is a global, worldwide occurrence concern. And in Mauritius, especially, we have a Moody's downgrade to Baa3 primary related to weakening of institutions. So consequently, we have to come up with a fiscal consolidation plan which is efficient. And there is a risk of another sovereign credit rating, which would make us fall in the junk category, okay, which is something we do not want. And and which will cause a lack of employment creation, which will affect economic growth in 2023. But overall, we seem to have a stronger tourism for 2023, attracting from Europe, China, and India, which might create jobs in the tourism sector, and which will be better for the economic growth. Only 2023 can say what it's holding. And then we have the FIFA World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. So obviously, regarding the World Cup scandal, there has been lots of corruption allegations since 2010 tainting the highest echelons of FIFA through the long history of bribery and money laundering. We've also seen Qatar throwing unprecedented amounts of money into the World Cup to build new infrastructure, and there have been complaints from the migrant workers related to geography, climate, and bad treatment. There has been workers' rights abuse and accusation of needless death of migrant workers. But overall, it doesn't look so dark. As long as people are enjoying. So my favorite meme for the World Cup was France against England, whereby you have le coq sur le roast beef. And yes, I'm looking forward to France playing against Argentina. The conclusion is you should not get tricked by all sorts of schemes. You should focus on behavioral finance, focus on long term goals. Do not get tricked by, for example, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency if you do not have enough knowledge on this. And financial mistakes usually are recoverable with time and strategy. I would like to quote Mohamaed Erian: "The world is on a bumpy journey to a new destination and the new normal." What I mean by this is that it has been really a lot of chaos in 2022. We've seen the pandemic, COVID-19, we've seen the Russian-Ukrainian war. We've been on quite of a bumpy journey, but let's just say that in the coming future we might be reaching to a new normal, to a better destination. So on this note, Dan Brown, I would quote Dan Brown: "To reach paradise, men must pass through Inferno." Alors oui, on va s'arrêter là pour l'instant. Alors la chaîne existe depuis 2 ans et on n'a pas beaucoup grandi. Alors moi, ce que je vous souhaite, c'est une bonne année et joyeux Noël. Voilà.